Coming back after being away for 6 years felt really foreign to me. Even though it's like home, it's just really different. But the Sunday bus trip with my family does anchor me a little bit.
One of the things I enjoy about being on the bus is that we really see such a microcosm of society. One time my kid wasn't feeling well, and then someone reached out to help. It's the chance to really touch each other, even though in passing, and that's really quite analogous to life.
Why don't you take the bus and go around Singapore? People who've seen my video know I love Singapore to the very core. Yes. During my first 6 months in Singapore, I decided to take random buses that took me to all sorts of places within the country. And I would do that every Sunday, 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon. I love all things about Singapore, so I call this room the mini Singapore within my household. So I have a few memorabilia over the years that I collected from local artists. I want to just spend the rest of my life here and eventually, what's a good way to say die here? Can I say that on national television? I'm originally from the Philippines and I moved to Singapore 17 years ago. Almost every day, I make videos about Singapore. If there's one place that you can be yourself, it's Singapore. And whatever is your nationality, you're just one of the many. Isn't that great? What is the culture? Singaporeans love to queue, and I love it. What are the places to eat in? Welcome to Lau Pa Sat in Singapore. When tourists visit Singapore, I tell them, why don't you explore Singapore by bus? Because that's the great way to discover it. And it's the same thing I did when I was new to Singapore. To celebrate my being a Singapore citizen, I had a birthday party that coincided with my celebration, and this was the poster to invite people to that party. So you can see me wearing a pink shirt with the Singapore flag. You would see the iconic Singapore shopping bag, and then a tingkat kit, which had colors representing the color of the ICs I had from the start of my stay in Singapore all the way to now. So I started off on employment pass, so that's a green card in 2006. Then I became a PR, so that's blue. And then I became a citizen in 2015. All under ERP.
Belonging is something that's really difficult to find. Coming back to the very same place I call home, it was still different. If you don't look hard enough, then it just disappears.
So wow, I like this. This one, remember? When it first snowed, right? Mommy was having language lesson.
Yeah.
And I couldn't
and
join
school
your...
was closed, so we could go to the park, and the park
so
was all
nice.
snowed out.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Huge snowball.
Yeah, Daddy and I made the largest snowball we could. It was very cold, so it was difficult.
Look at that. Your teacher got this for you guys?
Yeah, she bought us ice cream. Yeah.
So nice.
So it was really nice, but it was winter, but I think ice cream tastes better.
Better in winter.
And when Auntie Layla and Uncle Auntie
yes,
Reza,
Auntie
they
Layla.
brought us out for ice
So
cream.
ice cream, yeah, our final ice cream
Yeah.
with them. It's so good, right?
It was kind of like bittersweet because it was like our last few times in Iran.
Yeah.
It's the last month in
I know,
Iran,
right?
and they brought us out to have a last taste of the ice cream.
Yeah, they're one of the friendliest couple that we ever met.
Oh, and
All
this is
this
when we came back. Yeah. We pushed Papa to church, and then we also invited Nai Nai because they had a
Yeah.
special Mother's Day celebration and appreciation, and it
Yes.
was really nice.
I think being away for like so many years, it's so nice that you can do something for her, isn't it?
Yeah, I really missed her during those
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice that every Sunday we can bring Papa to church and I can be with her. So it's like very important to me because I get to spend time with her and to make up for the 6 years.
Yeah.
婆婆，你知道今天我们去哪里吗？不知道，我们去教会。I usually view grandma to the bus stop. I actually like and I look forward to doing so. It's a simple thing, right? Just pushing grandma. But to me, it's like every minute of time I spend with her, it's meaningful. And it's good to cherish the little moments like this. When I was in Sec 1, my parents wanted to pursue a PhD in physiotherapy, so we relocated our entire family at the end of like 2015.
Yeah. Email will help you, huh? Okay, I'll go tap the card in front. Yeah.
Yep, sure. Thank you.
食打擾
Secure the lock.
Okay.
你可以往后面，yeah，比较舒服。I'm Hannah, and I returned to Singapore after living in Iran for about 6 years. Before we left for Iran, my extended family, we were really close. Every Saturday we'd have family dinner together, and their absence was highlighted, especially during festivities like Chinese New Year. We will at most have the Zoom call with them, and Zoom calls they don't really count, you know, as much as a human presence. We kind of felt like, okay, we really want to be back, we want to be with them.
婆婆，我先上去啊。OK， 我上去坐下来。
After making sure that grandma's secure, I usually go up to sit. I would talk to my family, or we would just bond. Buses in Iran, they're segregated by gender. So like women would sit by one side and guys would sit on the other side. We never got to sit together as a family. So when I first came back, taking the bus was like really pleasant.
When Ansgar and I were living in Canada, we actually drove. Now that we don't have a car, we take the bus together. I actually find it more fun and more interesting to go on a bus with him. Besides talking about our own things, we can actually people watch. My children grew up taking buses. They're also big bus people. They are currently both studying at university in the UK. Whenever they go to London for a visit, they would prefer the bus over the train. I think my favorite bus is the 972M, and that's because it's the most direct bus from Orchard Road to my home. But it's also the bus that doesn't come so frequently. So I always feel that I've lucked out whenever I see the bus coming.
Oh, forehead.
Yeah, thank you.
Forehead.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Moonlake Lee, mother of 2, married for 30 years.
My name is Ansgar Chang. I just happen to be the husband. I'm not going to feed you. It sounds a little bit too cheesy. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I get you one so that you don't complain.
Over the years, we developed this affection and this love for Singapore. I feel at home, at peace. I have a pretty big extended family in Singapore. When I was a child growing up in Malaysia, I would visit during holidays and meet my cousins, hang out with them. During my A-levels in Malaysia, I was in Singapore for a holiday. I actually took the bus, the Singapore-Johor Express, landed up at Queen Street bus station. I called my schoolmate who was in Singapore on holiday too. And she said, hey, my cousin's having a 21st birthday party. Would you like to come? That's when I met this guy with the unusual name.
And I met a girl with unusual name as well. I was with the Hong Kong U Dental School, and we used to have this student exchange program between the NUS Dental School. So I was there with one of the dental students' 21st birthday. That's where we met. We met at the poolside birthday party. I got her address and her name, and I have it in my head. So I started writing to her. Okay, so we begin as pen pals.
My husband and I have very busy schedules, so we don't often get a chance to chat too much.
One of the questions that just now they raised was that what is the key of a so-called successful marriage? You know what did I say?
What?
As to lower your expectations.
There are times when I happen to take the bus home and he gets on. To me, it just feels like fated, you know?
Yeah, borrow your shoulder. I'm really tired today.
Okay, go ahead.
A nice coincidence, but a very welcome surprise, and it's nice to sit the rest of the trip together and get off together and go home.
All right. Very good.
I'm happy to be home. Long
Perfect.
day.
Yes. We come to Singapore because we love this place.
This is a place where our hearts are and we belong, and that's an important thing.
I thought my wife's also old hands. I'm so jealous.
I love the mountains. Yeah, it looks good.
Was this pretty recent?
Yeah, probably in 2021. Before we're leaving, then we were hosting different friends for dinner, and yeah, so some of the new friends that came. And again, we're sitting on the floor together, eating with them, because our dining table is too small to have everyone together. It's quite nice memories. Yeah, our old home. It's nostalgic to look back at our old home.
When we left for Iran, I was in Sec 1. Coming back again after 6 years, it was completely a fresh start for us. Getting around Singapore, for me, it takes time. I need to plan my route in advance. I have to try to navigate. I still feel like a tourist in my own country.
I guess familiarity is something that I look forward to.
Actually, when I reached Moonlake just now, I actually saw Prof. Shingo Ito.
Taking bus 179 every day does help me feel settled back in Singapore. When I first started at NTU, I think the first month, I would be on like Google Maps on every single bus ride, even though it's the exact same ride, because I was so worried that I'd get lost. Now it's like I'm so secure and so confident, like okay, I know the bus like the back of my hand, I can ride on it blindfolded. And having someone, a friend, beside me to take the bus, is actually something I look forward to. I make an intentional effort to try to connect more with my friends. So we would take the bus together into school. We eat lunch together at the canteen. This not only strengthens the bond between us and builds on the friendship, but I think it helps me forge a greater sense of belonging and community here.
We can sit here.
Okay. Okay, Hannah, could you chop this seat for
Yeah,
us?
sure.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, get your food.
When I spend time with my friends, obviously I notice some differences. Our lunches differ greatly. So for me, I bring a packed lunch to school consisting of a sandwich, a bit of a salad, fruits. My friends would usually order from the school's canteen.
You're eating your lunchbox again?
Yeah. Oh, wow, we got strawberries and oranges, the fruits as usual.
Yeah.
You really should try the school food one day. Like, come on, you're back in Singapore. Like,
Ordering food in a hawker center or coffee shop, I feel overwhelmed. My local food literacy is also pretty low because I still don't know the difference like between ban mian or bak chor mee. Like it's just noodles to me.
this is dumpling noodle and then I added sliced fishes inside.
So ban mian with fish?
Yes.
So the person that probably will understand me the most would be my younger sister, Sarah. She was with me in Iran throughout and she came back with me.
I haven't had chicken rice in quite a while. I'm a very picky eater.
I remember when you were a kid and then it used to creep you out like those chickens and stuff.
Yeah, it still creeps me out though. Oh, the head. Oh, I just saw the head. Oh.
It's a duck. I think that looks like
We don't know what to order and what is what and what tastes like what. So normally we just gravitate towards the choices that we're familiar with, the safer choices like chicken rice. But we're learning slowly.
大姐，石斑鱼吗？
对对，石斑。
哦，石斑，
哇，这个是
Papa's favorite.
石斑。
黄石斑。
We intentionally actually bring them out to eat at coffee shops, to order the daily dishes that people will be eating, make sure that they slowly adjust their taste buds back to Singapore, introducing bit by bit. When you are adjusting to a culture, apart from food, language is actually quite important. In Iran, the fact that we actually have to learn Farsi just to connect with the people is the same way when they are back in Singapore.
Our parents and aunties have been recently teaching us quite a variety of Singlish words to help us blend in better. For example, my mom sometimes describes situations as bo pian, which means no choice, or she jokingly refers to my sister and I as jiak kang tang, which means eat potatoes. I guess knowing more about the local food here and the phrases and the language used here would help us appear less of a jiakangtang. But honestly, in Iran, Sarah and I had a lot of potatoes. We ate a lot.
Before we came to Singapore, we lived in the US, we lived in Canada, and Canada has about 6 months of winter. But once we moved to Singapore, we found out, ooh, this is summer, 365 days a year. So I found freedom in that sense. There are many mornings before sunrise, I ran all the way up the road, just up north. And by the time I reached Kranji, I found it's 17.5 kilometers from my place. But you know what? It's just one bus to come back to my doorstep. Where's home? Home is where you really feel like you're part of the place. So it's very important for us to be part of this community. Being part of the Kampung Runner is a very important identity to me. We are of different walks of life, but we share one same purpose, which is the pursuit of running. And they become friends, and friends became family. My two girls run, my wife run as well.
The other day, I saw an item I liked on Carousel. It was 10 kilometers away on Amber Road. I checked it out and there was a direct bus back home, bus 48. So that's how I motivated myself to do a bit of a longer run. The Kampung Runners really is, as the name suggests, Kampung, village. There are about 30, 40 of us sharing that same culture of really looking out for each other. I think Singapore gave me the opportunity to grow communities because I found that the people I came in touch with were genuinely great people. When you call a place home, you feel a sense of belonging and we want to do something to sink our roots in. It really made me feel that I wanted to do my part to contribute. I started unlocking ADHD in 2021 to address the gap in information and knowledge about ADHD, provide resources, and ultimately try to equalize access to treatment. We are finding that in Singapore, the information is very scattered. So we're really trying to consolidate everything so that people have something tangible, practical tips on how to live a better life.
The ADHD Starter Kit, it gives you all the essential information you need to know if you suspect you have ADHD.
Being able to understand your wiring, being able to articulate what your strengths are with those around you actually makes for a more inclusive and diverse society.
While it's useful to get some information, what is really difficult to capture just in a book is like the emotions and the sense of community. So what we can do is actually create a series of events targeted at not just like adults and youth with ADHD, but also the people around them.
The loved ones, right?
Yeah, exactly, the loved ones.
Our mission is to empower ADHDers and their families to live life to the fullest. As you know, Karina, we have been really ground up. So because of that, to save costs, we're pretty much a virtual organization. So Singapore Pools offered us space.
That's fantastic.
Rent-free.
Oh, amazing.
I have run here before, quite a few times.
Welcome to Holland Drive.
Wow! It looks like it's newly renovated.
So nice. When we first started, we were all working virtually. We have not even met each other. We needed a space where we can actually ground ourselves, so that adds stability and it builds that team spirit.
This can be a home not just for the Unlocking ADHD team, but even for the ADHD community potentially if we do any activities there.
Yes.
When people are settled, I think they do the best work. So I think that's priceless. So really, thank you for this.
my heart, I just know right from the start we will grow. Look where we are. I celebrate National Day every year in my own little way. But this year is going to be a bit different.
Okay, I don't need to sing already. You're good.
No, you have to sing. I think we need to do a little bit of choreography. We need to put more feeling into it. I had to invite someone whom I admire to do this collaboration with me.
NDP with Leo.
And Ashton. Ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3, go. Deep in my heart, I just know.
I got to know Leo a while back through TikTok. We actually went to eat together. His love for Singapore is very endearing and very passionate. And that's something that I always see through his videos. We will get there.
Whoa! Yes!
We will get there. All right, all right.
We gotta do some warm-up because the high notes of this song would make it more...
Show me your Filipino voice and techniques.
Breathe from the diaphragm. You have to push the air out.
Okay.
La
NDP,
Singapura.
Majulah Singapura. Mari kita.
I had to learn the national anthem when I became a citizen 8 years ago. There are many lines in the national anthem, but the one that really stood out for me was Majulah Singapura, Onward Singapore. So to me, I like to see what's ahead. Even if it's uncertain, so long as you know that you're moving somewhere. So that's why I felt that was essential for me. Onward Singapore, it brings a lot of promise.
As a Singaporean, you wake up at like 6:30, you go to school, you hear the national anthem, you sing it like by heart, but you don't really take note of what it actually means.
3 ways to celebrate National Day via the Kallang Wave variations.
2023 edition.
The first one is the tidal wave.
Tidal wave.
The other one is the mambo wave.
Mambo wave. I can do me not being necessarily the most indulged in my national pride, found it very interesting that someone who moved here is very much more Singaporean than a lot of us Singaporeans.
Wow!
Oh, we're heading to...
We are going to Chinatown
complex.
I want to be known as an am-bus-sador.
I guess we will have to selfie this.
I like taking random buses.
Yeah.
Like literally, you don't know where it's going to be.
I've actually done that with my girlfriend. Like we took the bus and every 7 or 8 stops we'll get off, find something fun to do, and then we'll get back on. I think it's a great way to sightsee Singapore.
And there's joy in that discovery. I would like you to meet my friend. She's joining us today. I think she's there already.
Good. Hello.
Marlene, this is Ashton.
I met Leo 16 years ago, 6 months after he arrived in the Philippines. I noticed even then, he was already more Singaporean than most of the Singaporeans I know. Even as a foreigner back then, he was organizing National Day parties at his place. We would sing National Day songs and he would order lots of local dishes for us all to enjoy.
Oh, thank you, Auntie. Oh, look at this. Time to feed the camera first, right?
Yes. Shall we go start with this one?
Let me show you my unique food hack. Some yang chow fried rice, some chili crab sauce, oats of the cereal prawn. Mix it all together.
Okay, like it honestly doesn't sound bad.
And enjoy the goodness.
That's what happens in tummy. It's just really externally.
Okay. So after Leo started mixing them together in his own special way, I thought he was desecrating our classic dishes.
And when you think it's all blended in well, you enjoy. I'm excited for you guys.
But after trying it, I kind of get it. It's the mix of cultures and techniques. Not bad.
Every time I go out with my family or friends, I would order all of them together. I'm not good at eating crab. I just thought, okay, maybe I can do something all together. And it's really a good mix for me, and that's why I call it my unique hack.
It's like a party in my mouth.
Woohoo! Hopefully not a party in my stomach later lah, but...
Hopefully. Blending all these ingredients together not only is a sensory experience for me, I think that it is a good representation of how we are as a nation, that we are a blend of different personalities, different cultures, different aspirations.
Singaporean dishes and the Singaporean identity, they're constantly evolving.
It's a nice day. Really, it's a nice day.
Ansgar and I met in Singapore back in 1988. The interesting thing is, even though we moved here eventually and became Singaporeans, I never actually knew where we met exactly. I knew the rough area, but I didn't know which condo. It was only in recent years my auntie told me it was Wharton Estate condo. And then I realized it was being unblocked. So I told Ansgar, I said, you know what, it's so near our home now, I think we should pay the visit before it disappears. Evening last year, after a long period of looking for the right location,
We just crossed.
we went to see that place.
And this the one.
And it looked the same. So that was a certain feeling of recognition,
You can still see the name.
but also the amazement of how many years had passed
Let me take a selfie with you.
and where we were the time that we met and then where we are now. I have to say that it was actually a bit of an emotional moment. We have a lot of memories of the old place, and knowing that something new will be in place of that, makes me feel wistful, actually.
It's all boarded up, so it's in the process of being torn down. But the memory stays.
Actually, we were very lucky. I'm just so glad we have a chance to see it again before it disappears.
Well, it's a nice sunny day, but it's a little bit hot.
I know, seriously.
No, right?
Aircon.
You need
You know, the
aircon,
bus is not
and
enough.
come on the bus, then you can let your head down.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
But this is special. Thanks for taking the day off to do this with me.
When I moved to Singapore, I attended a National Day parade rehearsal. I just saw thousands of people in the stadium wearing red. And they were singing National Day songs, and they were doing Kalang Wave, and it was a really good, electrifying experience for me. And coming out of that, I realized that I wanted to stay in Singapore for as long as I could. Oh, Mom, ano? Was the transition hard? Definitely, it was hard. I've always been a Filipino. I grew up there, and that's pretty much the only country I know. But I try my best to be one with everybody else. I share the same passion for Singapore as others. I enjoy what they enjoy in terms of the food. I try to help as many people in the community as I could. And I'm a self-appointed ambassador of Singapore to the world. Do I feel I'm more Singaporean now that I am Filipino? I would say yes, because I've been here for 17 years or 18 years, but I appreciate what I have within me as a Filipino. And I want to showcase the Philippine culture to the locals. On weekends, my mom and I will take the bus to Lucky Plaza, which is dubbed as the Philippine Mall in Singapore. My mom loves to take the bus because she thinks that it is easier to get out of the bus in an emergency. Welcome to Lucky Plaza, your go-to place for many Philippine stuff, over 100 shops featuring Philippine food, retail. I'm with my mom, and we're gonna show you the ins and outs, some of the secrets here in Lucky Plaza. We're gonna feature some of the really yummy Philippine bread and dessert. Mom, what is your personal favorite here?
Okay, I like ensaymada,
Ensaymada, okay, we will feature that. What else?
Spanish bread,
Spanish bread.
turon.
Turon. Okay, so we will go into each one of these. Right, ladies? Okay, so ube ensaymada. Anong nasa loob nito? Yam. Sweet purple yam. So the yam is here. My mom and I would go to our favorite restaurant, nibble on our favorite Philippine dishes. Soft, fluffy. It brings back memories of my previous country. It is an extension of Philippines to me. The last one you want to try is turon. So turon is caramelized banana wrap. So there is a fried banana inside together with spring roll wrapper, right? So Mom, do you want to try this one this time? Can you hear the crunch?
Hannah likes to write, and because of her exposure in literature in Iran, they expose her to many different genres and different types. So she'll be excited, she'll come back and share with us. Then she started to pen down some of her thoughts in poems. When we came back to Singapore, Hannah continued to write, and she actually published a new book on stepping into fresh snow. After we stay in Iran, we actually understand what it means like to step into fresh snow because it's soft and you actually mark out your path. But when you go out to places where there are many trodden down snow where people have traveled, yes, it marks out the direction for you, but it's very slippery. So she wrote down her whole emotions and her perception about it through her poems, documenting her own personal reflections on re-embracing changes in Singapore.
Finding where home is again. Stuck in the middle, neither here nor there. Familiarity is starting to dwindle. Everything seems to be a snare. I recognize nothing, not even a bit. Everything's different. Am I a misfit?
I understand her point of view. Moving out of Singapore at such a young age really disconnected us from our community here. Coming back right now, after being away for so long in your teenage years, is also another challenge. Which bus are we taking?
We're taking 196. Do you remember the double-decker one?
The one that we used to go camping with?
Yeah, that we used to go with Mommy and Daddy. They used to take us when we lived near Gimel, the old Gimel over there. Then we'd just walk over here with all camping equipment, and Daddy would carry his tent.
When they were little, my husband and me tried to make sure we spend time with our kids a lot. Our favorite is actually East Coast Park, where Daddy will actually make it a point on weekends. We'll pack our tentage. Yeah, he has a 6-man tent and he's very proud. We take the long bus rides also, like we take it like 196, the famous one for us. They'll sway all the way there. Then we'll alight at some uru place and cut across the condominiums and get to the park and set up the things. So it's just a journey that is meaningful for them.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's a little sunny, but I think it's better if you sit from here, right? Then you can.
We actually suggested to the girls, hey, take some buses that we used to take when you were kids just to, feel the neighborhood. We use the same strategy in Iran. We always feel that it's important to map out the area that we live in. In Singapore, some of the bus routes don't really change so much, and that really helps with familiarizing back to Singapore. Hannah and Sarah, they are gifted in different ways. Hannah is good at poetry, and Sarah is good at photography.
I was, of course, snapping away photos. It's a trip that we haven't been on for a long time, and it's a very new road.
I was trying to recognize different parts of Singapore, and at the same time trying to find inspiration for a poem. Today's bus ride was different. I don't think I can evoke the same kind of emotions as when we were kids. We would take the bus 196 to East Coast Park together as a family and ride 40-something stops. So back then, camping at East Coast Park was like a family adventure, like a mini holiday in Singapore. Pitch a tent, then you would get his hammock out, we'd go cycling, then we'd eat at the hawker center, and sometimes we would even swim in the sea.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Yeah.
I love this view.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever we think back, we're like, oh, East Coast Park. It has a lot of fond
We
memories.
associate it with the fun parts of our childhood.
Yeah.
I would feel. When we finally got here, it was still the same, but it just felt different. I think we were trying to catch a ghost of the emotions that we felt as kids, and all like nervous as you're just trying to scramble to find how you were feeling like back then.
Like, okay, we have to find our campsite, but felt miserably, and then went for ice cream.
Do you want some?
Yes, please.
I like banana.
It's fine if we can't find it, because the memory still lives within us and it doesn't have to be that tangible for us to treasure it. So we do cherish it deep down, and I think that's what matters. It's a place that we're familiar with, and at the same time, it is foreign to us. So we are trying to find our place again and create new memories.
And yeah, it's like we have to learn how to live here all over again. Walk along and don't look back.
Okay, walk along and don't look back.
Yeah.
Okay.
No matter how long I've stayed in Singapore, I will always love touring Singapore by bus. You have people from different professions, people who have different aspirations. I just feel that they're all bounded by just a common thread. I've always had pleasant experience in bus. It's always a comfortable journey, but there is one thing that really is a pet peeve of mine. Lovers doing public display of affection. I think they just have to do it somewhere, not on the bus. And I think complaining about that is part of me being a Singaporean. Why don't you guys take the bus and go on a tour around Singapore? I've been doing this for many years, and I have to tell you, I discovered so many good places, including coffee shops, and you will have a good idea of what people do in their daily lives by taking the bus. So let me know if you've done the same.
I remember recently, we both had a free evening on a weekend, and we just sat on a bus randomly to a location that we've never been before. And the journey there was fantastic. We could see a new route, new greenery, and then we thought we'll get off at Ang-Mo-Kio Hub, which we hardly go to. And we found a hawker center that's open air, and a busker singing my favorite songs from the 90s. I found the cheapest roast meat. Really, my heart was full.
She is a very special girl. She's always energetic, and she has this very special power, and she found things interesting at all times, all angles, any place.
Okay.
My wife is like in the old vinyl record when you play music, then it jumps from one song to another song. Like in a disco, they're mixing the music. If you don't like it, you want to finish one song from start to finish, that you say is the interrupted. So it depends on the interpretation. My wife has ADHD, has been the best kept secret of the universe in the last 50 years.
I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 50 years old. I actually never realized the extent that ADHD symptoms might have on my marriage until I was diagnosed. Ansgar can be quite intense, and we're having a very serious talk about the meaning of life. And then suddenly I'll say, oh, look at that cute squirrel. So it seemed completely random. I have sometimes problems with my working memory. When you see something, you want to comment on it or say it before it disappears out of your memory. And so there were many times that my behavior may have seemed to be more like a character flaw, or lack of thoughtfulness to others, when it could be just because I was responding in a very impulsive way. My kind of ADHD symptoms tends to be more hyperactive, impulsive, so easily distracted.
The diagnosis of Moon's ADHD is absolutely liberating. It's not liberating to her only, but actually it's liberating to me, because now I understand and can explain a lot of things that had happened earlier in life and also currently in life, maybe going forward for the next 50 years as well. And that makes life a little bit easier. Not that it's all smooth, but it makes it much easier. Of course, it's a learned cycle as well. she managed to do that. And this is one thing that we probably should share with the kids when we are seeing them on a Zoom coming.
Okay. Yeah. When we took the bus to East Coast, we were like, is it going to be exactly the same as when we were kids? We both hold on to the expectations that we have and at the same time wondering if it can ever match up.
I still remember the HDB flats here. Do you?
Not really. I was pretty young, remember?
Yeah, but it's kind of coming back to me somehow.
I think it's more the expectations of what memories we would find there. And then in contrast, what we created was new memories. I don't like chocolate.
What if belonging isn't just about returning to the exact same place?
How does recreating memories help find belonging in you?
We walked and walked. We tried, but we couldn't locate our old campsite. Wanna watch it back?
Sure.
Okay.
We shall take the bus, right? From here?
Going home.
Going home. Yeah. When I moved to Singapore, I made a personal decision to embrace everything about the country. Its people, its culture. As I traveled the country by bus, I discovered how life is in Singapore. No matter how long I've stayed in Singapore, I will always love touring Singapore by bus because life is about discovery. So these are some of the National Day parties I've organized over the years, singing National Day songs, playing games, and just having fun and laughter during these parties. I think Singaporeans generally are very welcoming to people. You know, over the years, I knew what it was to be having a kampong spirit. Coming from the Philippines, I struggled, but I just was encouraged by friends who just genuinely accept me for who I am and where I'm from. I moved to Singapore 17 years ago, and I feel a stronger affinity now for Singapore than ever before.
So it's pretty unusual that you get a
day off like this, okay.
We've been married 30 years now, but we're actually finding a lot of new discoveries, you know, almost on a weekly basis. And one of the things really is to find more about ADHD, and I think it's given me the passion to try to do more.
This is very, very illustrative. Yep. I think I drive my team crazy because I have too many ideas. This one is actually a show of support from a family member.
Yeah, these are great.
Yeah.
My wife's work in unlocking ADHD is quite a lot of effort needed. Being a supportive husband, I do one very important thing, and that is shut up and don't intervene, and be there when she needs me.
I think if my husband knew earlier, he would be a lot more patient with me.
She's doing something meaningful, benefiting society.
Yeah, weird and wonderful. Okay, cool, very cool.
We want to make sure that even as we do community building, whether it's with our kampong runners or with unlocking ADHD for the neurodivergent community, that people know that they all have a place, and that's an important thing.
So this poem is called Belonging and You. When I was writing it, there were a lot of emotions, a lot of mixed feelings, a lot of memories, but the important thing was realizing that being with my family and friends, that's what made me belong, and it's not about a place, but it's actually about being together. So that's the main theme of the poem.
A long trip on the same bus bringing us to the beach. 10-year-old memories and a campsite.
How does recreating memories help find belonging in you? Maybe there's something somewhere that nothing can erase. No more empty, my heart's now full. Home is where I am with you.
Finding belonging is as abstract as sitting on the bus and looking to the distance where the road stretches on for miles ahead. And there's no way to tell where exactly the cars and traffic lights fade into the distance and drop off the edge of your vision.
When beginnings and endings blur, fading into the same hue, as sea and sky become inseparable, expanding across infinite space, how does recreating memories help find belonging in you?
However hard we tried, we couldn't locate our campsite.
Try as we might, some parts are missing, leaving behind no clue. What if belonging isn't just about returning to the exact same place? No more empty, my heart's now full. Home is where I am with you. It's strange what journeying back to an old memory takes you through. You're back in that one place, and yet also everywhere in other ways. How does recreating memories help find belonging anew? New memories don't negate old ones, they still hold true. Like separate chapters in a story that goes on for the rest of our days. No more empty, my heart's now full. Home is where I am with you.
It's funny that no matter how far you roam, there's always another route, a different bus, a different journey that brings you back to where you started.
Waves always find their way back to shore without ado. I found that I've stopped searching, secured and safe. How does recreating memories help find belonging in you? No more empty. My heart's now full. Home is where I am with you.
Set! 目標心態